In this video, we're going to work on the profit for a new product based on some rather uncertain values. We're going to have some fixed costs. We'll put in a point estimate for that. We're going to have some labor costs. Don't worry about the normal distribution yet. We'll have some materials costs. We'll use a discrete distribution for that. And then we'll worry about our competitor's price, what we will charge for the product, how the price will determine the demand for the product. And in this video, we're only going to focus on the first part of this problem, which is to determine a point estimate for the profit. Let's go over to Excel and start typing in our costs, which will consist of fixed costs, also the variable costs of labor and material. We'll also have to worry about what the demand is going to be so we can figure out the total costs. For fixed costs, that was going to be a uniform distribution in our final simulation. For now, we'll just type in a potential number for that of $180,000. Labor, we'll just type in actually it's the mean of the normal distribution of $45 per item. And material, which had a discrete distribution, will be a particular value here, could be $95 per item. Demand, I don't know yet, so I'm going to put in the number 500,000 just to have something so that we can determine total cost. And let's put some formatting on that. And therefore we can figure out the total cost. The total cost will consist of the fixed costs, $180,000 here, plus the sum of the labor and material costs per item multiplied by the number of items that we're going to sell. We're going to assume in this problem that there's no inventory to worry about. Now let's move over and try to work out some revenue that's going to be produced by our new product. First thing is we're going to break the problem into our competitor's price, which I'll just abbreviate comp price, and then our price. And then based on that, we're going to have two types of demand. I'm going to say the average demand, and then what it actually is going to be. You'll see later why we need it separated into two spots. Then we'll have our revenues, and of course our profit, which will just be revenues minus total costs. Competitor's price. Well, we're going to change that, but for right now we'll put in $150 per item. And we're going to put in that our price always matches the competitor. That is something we could change later, but just a simple formula that says equal whatever our competitor charges. Then we're going to have to add something here. We had a demand equation, and it was a linear equation. And it's actually based on slope of a straight line and the y-intercept of a straight line. And I'm going to put those off to the side just in case we decide later we want to change them. We'll have them in their own cells, ready to be changed. So the average demand based on a regression equation was to take our price multiplied by the slope of this linear regression line and to add in the slope of the intercept of the linear regression line, and that would be our average demand. Our actual demand later is going to be some fixed percentage of this, actually a variable percentage. So for right now, I'm just going to put in actual demand will equal what we consider the average. And then I'm not going to need to change the demand I had just put in for a placeholder over here to be equal to this actual demand. So I'm just going to change this formula to say equals what we just calculated. Had I done the revenue calculations first, I wouldn't have had to do that. Revenues can now be calculated. If we know what our demand is and we know what our price is, we'll just multiply the price times the actual demand, and that's how much revenue has been generated. Now, with that in hand, we can figure out the profit. Profit would be the revenues we generated, 101 million, minus the cost it takes to produce that, 95 million almost, for a net profit of about $6.5 million. We would call this a point estimate of our profit. We know it's wrong. We know that our labor costs aren't going to be exactly $45 per item, nor is our material costs going to be precisely what we said. We're not sure what the competitor is going to charge, so we have some variable things in here, and this is not a number we should take as being absolutely correct. It's simply a point estimate. What we're going to do in the next segment is figure out, since we know something about how these numbers might change, how does that affect how this number might change? We're going to do that through a process called Monte Carlo simulation. To remind ourselves that this is a point estimate, I'm going to change the name of the sheet to point estimate.